Okay, everyone. Um, Apex here, just to give an update on where we are with stuff. I'm going to jump straight into it. No messing around today. Not much has changed really. We had the news come out yesterday at 3 o'clock, which was bullish for Bitcoin, which is why we saw this kind of small pump. Not massive really. It didn't really get past this level. I think it went as high as around the 450 mark, which I think we had our stop loss around the 20,600 mark. And through this line of short selling, because this is where a lot of the liquidity is, so this is a challenging area to get beyond. The green area here is where we've shorted. So right now we're in a slight loss. That's okay. We're playing a longer game here. This is more like swing trading than scalping. Just a couple of noteworthy mentions. I'm expecting at this stage we're kind of running a little bit oversold on the 1 hour MFI. So at least in the very short term, I'm expecting a little bit of a response. I've drew this ascending triangle here, although it's actually a descending triangle, because if we go down, would I say that's a descending? No, I'll say it's an ascending triangle. The peak is more favouring the upside, so normally that means a breakout to the downside. And there's reasons to be kind of positive on that front. We'll go over in a little sec. So as I say, right in the short term, I'm expecting a little bit of a bounce still to the upside. Different story on a 4 hour, however. If we look to the 4 hour, still massively oversold. We're just starting to see rejection. We've had this nice candle here on its way down, and I expect this to continue for us to get back into profit. Like I said on the previous video, I don't anticipate using a take profit mark. I think I'm probably going to use stop loss in order to manage it. So as we break further lows, I will be edging my stop loss down further. Our goal is around a 20% makeup, so hopefully I'm looking for around $100. But if it's got room to grow, then I will let it grow and continue on. So yeah, looking kind of oversold on the 4 hour, expecting some price rejection. Now, we're only half an hour off the Brink session, which is the futures starting on the New York Stock Exchange. So that always brings volatility anyway, where the potential traps are starting to come in from the market maker, trying to make it feel like it's going one way and can get a zip to the opposite side. So we've just got to see what that looks like. I mean, if we head over to let's see, what do we want to look at? Let's actually look at where do we want to go? Let's look at the Forex Factory. So let's see, have we got any news date? Have we got any news that can affect the sentiment of the market? Well, we're on Wednesday. Obviously, we have major news as the ISM Services PMI. Now, honestly, I'm no economic student of distinction. I just kind of look at what news can affect things in whatever direction. I don't necessarily need to know the ins and outs of absolutely everything about what each one of these actually means. I just need to know what potential it has on affecting the market. And I use Forex Factory. There's others out there, but I always like to look at what the effects usually acts as. So the actual, if it's greater than the forecast, is good for currency. Now, we know when currency does good, oftentimes that's a direct negative correlation to Bitcoin. Now, we're trading Bitcoin, obviously, so we want to be looking at anything that, if the actual, so right now, the actual on this is predicting to be, the prediction or the forecast is 56. If the actual is greater than 56, then that's going to be good for currency, which means bad for Bitcoin. So really, we're in a short position right now. So I'm hoping that the value that comes out here is greater than 56. If it comes out greater than 56, then there's a potential, depending on how far away it is, that it will it will see some rejection of Bitcoin and some downward sentiment. So again, I can read what these are, but it's all about, I understand, non-manufacturing PMI. So businesses that are non-manufacturing, so things like job openings, anything, resource, and any new orders that these businesses have had in magnitude. So it's more like a kind of a collection of criteria that creates a score and metrics based on a number of different criteria for the non-manufacturing based businesses. So I'm assuming things like retail as an example. So as I say, I don't get bogged down on exactly what the criteria is. I'm looking for what the information's telling me. That's good enough for what I need. So opener, that's great. That's at 3 p.m. So half an hour after the New York Stock Exchange opens. Just to look at where we are with KuCoin. Might be a bit slow. I think we're about $36 down on our original order, which is fine. You've got to feel comfortable as a trader. You've got to feel comfortable being outside or within the red. Oftentimes, whether you place a market order and you get hit with the spread, or the limit order, almost guaranteed, you're going to be starting in the red almost instantaneously anyway. Not very often do you time the market so well that you just clip your order before it turns back to the downside. Apologies, I'm just having some issues with KuCoin for whatever reason. Don't know why. But anyway, the order's still there. That hasn't changed. What we're going to do now is just going to go and have a little look over at Bookmap. Let's see what Bookmap is telling us. So order is still here around the 19,950. This is where our order is placed. This has now become quite a good line of support actually for the bottom. So if we break through this, that would be a good sign that support becomes resistance. We're just above the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, which is the area of value based on where the majority of Bitcoin is sold in volume. As I always say before, these delta bubbles are essentially just market orders. So where someone's come into the market and just bought the ask price and they're happy with that. If there's more sell orders than buy orders, the delta bubble will be red. If there's more buy orders than sell, the bubble will be green. We've got a lot of liquidity on the buy side at the moment, so it could be a challenge to break through this. But we are looking for big areas of liquidity to take for the market. So normally, what price wants to do is break into that liquidity, so new positions can be filled and maybe try to change that direction. Right now, it's not telling me too much by way of which way it wants to go, other than the fact that this is ultimately where the liquidity is. We've got our stop loss at 20,600. We've got a lot of liquidity at the 20,500. To break down into the buy side, there's quite a lot of buying liquidity down here. I mean, we've got 673 around the 19,650. But it'll be interesting to see where we go with this. Ideally, I'm wanting to see a breakdown, in conjunction with the overbought positions on the 4-hour over on TradingView. I kind of feel like we're not in a bad position right now. We've ridden, for me personally, I think we've ridden the storm. At least on what the news came out for the previous day at 3 o'clock. It was bullish for Bitcoin and not so much for the currency. I mean, the DXY took an absolute pounding, to be honest. If I look at the DXY yesterday, it took quite a lot of it. Took quite a downward spiral. and I think this is, it was 3 o'clock. Let me just see, 11, 12, 3. So this was 3 o'clock. So the news came out. I can't remember what the news was, but it was one that has a volatile impact on the market. And again, using that Forex Factory, the number was less than what we expected, which was negative for currency. Negative for currency means obviously there'll be a sell-off, which is good for Bitcoin. Now, in a short market, that's not good for us. However, we did ride the storm, and that was fantastic because we kind of stayed within our stop loss. And now hopefully we're making a move back up on the DXY. So, if you look at this purely on a TA perspective, we kind of went into this zone of consolidation. And this would be what you'd probably perceive as a natural correction. So really what I'm hoping to see now is just, let me just fix that. The zone of natural correction would be here. And then we'd be essentially looking for, something like this. And then to the upside. And if that plays out, that's great, because then we're in profit and we kind of just ride it and see how we go. Potentially that's yeah. It's not just going to go as clean as that, but depending on what the news is, whether it's bullish. I mean, right now, again, I think we're on the 4 hour. We've, this is a perfect view of what the MFI can do. So we touched, and I think I mentioned this on a previous video, if we don't explode and go past that, we normally see quite an aggressive return back to, at least the mean and then beyond. So this is perfect. I mean, it touched the bottom, right at the bottom, and then we had, whatever that percentage is, uptick. So let's see what happens. But yeah, feel confident that we could we can get back to a profit from this and maybe even beyond. So I think this is going to be a really, really interesting area. In terms of when we break out, what I think, if I'm honest, is we break out to the downside. If we look on the weekly, we're approaching on the MFI, the top, that is, generally overbought. And specifically on longer time frames, I mean, when we peaked on the 4 hour, way back in October 21, okay, it kind of went on a little bit more, but not really moving up that much. And then we had this massive jump down, hit the bottom on the MFI here, went up a little bit, hit the middle point or thereabouts, had massive rejection further down, and now we're kind of on this way up again. So what does this tell us? This has just been potentially just some consolidation, and then we're going to have this big order perhaps, or sell off maybe, kind of around the I think somewhere between 13 to 16k, depending on what that looks like. There's lots of different opinions on that. I'm not here to say what I think it will be. It's just being prepared for what it can be. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're still in the trade. We're not out yet, and that's good. Just an update to tell you where I'm at with my journey. Nothing's changed, and we are still going forward. So that being said, I'll leave it there. Any questions? Anything? Happy to help. Happy to conversate. And I'll see you soon.